Johnny.
Can you guys hear me? Mic check, mic check. Hey guys, welcome back to another True Crime and Sims, where I play Sims and we listen to true crime. Hi, babe. What are you looking at? Okay, that was rude, babe. Just on, just on. What's your ear? Come on, bro. I'm on my I'm on my stream. You're being rude. Come on, bro. I'm on my stream. You're, you're being rude. I'm on my stream. You're being rude. Oh no, where there's backdraft. Hold on. I need to make sure that my shit is right. You worry about the wrong shit. But hello. Okay, let's put on a little true crime. Let's see. What should we listen to? Constance Clark.
Everybody knows that when we listen to Sisters of Kill, if there's an HBCU, we say shout out to the HBCUs. And the thing is, it's because HBCUs have such a rich history. Throughout the years of being denied education because of the color of our skin, HBCUs have come together and they have built a legacy that most of us still live on today. And you can too. Introducing the Sacred Heart Collection.
Oh no.
Sacred Heart is an amazing company that manufactures Greek and HBCU clothing. They are currently suicide attempts and ideations. And what's going on, everybody? I'm Marah.
And I'm Jazz.
And welcome back to Sisters Who Kill.
Of course you did.
Guys, I just want to give an additional trigger warning to this episode. The trigger warnings of abuse of a minor, suicide attempts and ideations, and domestic abuse. Please enjoy this episode.
It's like you doing something. What is you doing?
You're listening to this, you probably already know what to say. That today is the day for you to start your podcast. You have everything that you need. Your computer, a little microphone, and Spotify for podcasters. It is the all-in-one platform where you can host, edit.
Oh, we're not doing these, sister.
Sorry.
I'm Victim and Brisha Meadows. Our players this week are Martina Luchessa, Brisha's aunt and Brandy's sister, Brandy Meadows, Brisha's mom,
Yes,
and
bro.
Jonathan's wife, Jonathan Meadows.
No, she's not
Brisha's
even close to me.
and our victim, and Brisha Meadows, our murderess.
Brisha was born in August of 2002 in Warren, Ohio, to
Are
Brandy
you
and
ever
Jonathan
looking
Meadows.
dumb?
She had siblings, one brother named Jonathan Jr., but everybody called him JR, a sister Brianna, and we believe that there was also a much older sister that was out of the house during most
Bro,
of
this shit is irritating me.
Warren is a city that is about an hour south of Cleveland, and it's very close to Youngstown, Ohio, which is known to be a pretty rough neighborhood, a pretty rough city to live in. Now, in Meadows' household, even though it may have seemed nice from the outside, and maybe neighbors didn't really hear anything.
What do you mean I have to open the plants? Like, that's so annoying.
Inside of the house, it was very chaotic. Jonathan Meadows, which a lot of people call Johnny, was the source of this chaos. Brisha's parents, Brandy and Johnny, they met when they were really young and they fell in love fast. Now, Brandy is white, and her folks didn't really approve of her dating and considering a long-term relationship with Jonathan. for two reasons. A, because he was black, because he was a big black man. And B, because they were like, not only that, but he also seems like he's really controlling. Like, on no racist shit, he seems like he's a very controlling guy. Now, it took about 5 years for Brandy's family to finally just come to and accept Brandy's marriage, accept Johnny, and accept this family that was slowly starting to grow that Brandy and her husband were building. Now, for 19 years, Jonathan worked in product development for the Tribune Chronicle as a carrier. He attended John Marshall High School in Cleveland, and he was one of 7 siblings. Behind closed doors, the Meadows house was a nightmare. Jonathan was an alcoholic, and in his alcoholic rages, he was extremely abusive to not only his wife, but his children as well. It was like he had a nightly routine. He'd drink, he beat Brandy, and he passed out wherever he landed. Now, Brandy, remember that's Brisha's mom, she was the person that took the brunt of most of these beatings. But let's back up a little bit. But the beatings and the abuse didn't start when Brisha was born. Before she was born, when her siblings, when her older brother and sister were about maybe 1 or 2, they actually had another family living in their household, a young boy named Javon. Now, Javon is Brandy and Jonathan's nephew from Jonathan's side of the family. And something happened in his life. He ended up being put in the system. And instead of going to an actual foster parent, they stepped in to act as his foster parent. They were trying to get a check. So Javon was about 6 years old when he moved in. And almost from the moment that he was in their household, he was like, I was in their household and I just always on punishment. Like, the golden rule for Jonathan was that whatever happens in his house stays in his house. Don't speak about this family business outside of this house. If you got some troubles, you keep it to yourself. Don't tell no teachers, don't tell no students, don't tell nothing. And Jonathan just remember, like, I was constantly getting whipped. It's like I was getting beat with a belt. I was getting beat with a wooden pallet. He said in one article that when he was young, he took the wooden pallet and went outside and hid it in a bush or something. And that didn't stop Johnny. Like, of course, when you're a kid, you think, it's like when you take the switches out of the house, you think that that's going to stop it. Johnny just was enraged, and if he couldn't find the pallet, he just found something else to beat Javon with. It was to the point where Javon really was not allowed to leave his room because he was constantly on punishment. He said when he was young, he used to look out the window and he just watch all the other kids outside playing, but he could never go outside because he was always on punishment. He was always in trouble. Something, and these beatings from Jonathan, like these beatings from Johnny, you never knew when they were coming. Like, it would be 4 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden you get waking up to getting your ass beat because Johnny is mad.
And that's the sad part about like kids who are being abused one way or another is they're always on punishment and they can be perceived by others who aren't paying close enough attention if they're the problem child or they don't know how to act. I mean, you could have just coughed at the wrong time and you're on punishment. Like, you'll always be on punishment. Right. You know what I mean?
And with the neighbors and the kids that saw him, he didn't even have any friends to talk to, but they would see him and they said they used to call him the boy in the window. Like, you're just the boy in the window we always see that never comes outside and plays because he's never allowed to. And I feel like that's just a red flag. Like, we know that there's a kid in that house, and we've never seen that kid even come out and play. To the point where, like, his cousins that were in the house, they will sometimes forget that he was in the house because he was stuck in that room that had basically, what did he say? I don't have the quote right in front of me, but he was like, there was a broken TV, a bed, table, and dresser. You know what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't nothing there. He was basically in a prison as a child. Half of me wants to say, like, why would you do that? But seeing the type of person that Johnny is, I almost guarantee you it's because of a check. And that was the only reason he cared. And Devon, as he was getting older in this household, and his youngest cousin Brisha was being born, like, this abuse was not stopping. And he saw it all the time. One time, he saw Johnny backhand Brandy, and Brandy fell to the ground, but Brandy was actually holding Brisha while Brisha was a little baby. So Brandy's like, of course, she's holding the baby, she's getting her ass beat, she's hovering herself over the baby, trying to protect baby Brisha. And Javon comes out of the room and he sees his aunt get hit to the ground and getting choked. So he tries to push his uncle off, and next thing you know, Javon is getting his ass beat by Johnny because Johnny is, how dare you? I'm your family. Don't you ever disrespect me. Don't you ever cross me. Don't you ever turn your back on me. I'm your family. Don't you ever do that. But it's crazy because, like, yes, you're my family. Like, I'm from your side. But, like, technically, it's my auntie. And she my family, too. Now, when Javon was about 12 or 13 years old, she told them that she did not want to live there anymore. She didn't actually say it to Johnny because he was terrified of Johnny. He actually put it in a note. And Johnny was trying to actually kind of convince him to stay, but Javon was like, "You're not treating me well." And finally, Javon was able to talk to his caseworker and got out of that household. After that, he was bopping around from foster home to foster home for a little while before he was adopted. One of the first things he did when he got out of that home was told his caseworker about everything that he saw inside of that home. All the beatings, all of the abuse, the verbal, the mental, emotional abuse that he saw while he was under their care. But his statements really went nowhere. No caseworker after Javon left the house came to investigate the Meadows household. Now, Brandy was continuously abused, mentally, physically, emotionally, all of that. He was mean with his words. He was hurtful with what he said to every member of the family. You're useless. I don't need y'all. Y'all disgusting. Just any pain he was feeling, he took it out on them. When Risha was young, she was considered a daddy's girl. Like, he was her world. And then she turned 8, and that's when her dad raped her. This caused a shift in Brisha's behavior. Every day was chaos in her household, and Brisha was spending less and less time with her family. She began isolating herself, listening to music, staying in her room, just making dance routines, anything to keep herself occupied, but has kind of detached socially, even just with her family. She was just trying to escape from this house that she was in and the things that she would see. Her mom with a black eye, her mom coming back from the hospital with fractured ribs, her mom with her fingers broken from the fight that she had with her dad the night before, her dad waving a gun around in people's faces, her face, mom's face, everybody like just aggressive, threatening behavior all of the time. In 2010, Brandy could really see the weight of the abuse in the household and how it was affecting Brisha. Her mental health was deteriorating. Brisha began cutting herself. She was hospitalized for a suicide attempt and then diagnosed with depression. And this was only one of 3 suicide attempts that her uncle on her dad's side could recall. But the thoughts were constantly creeping into her mind. 2011, Jonathan made threats to kill the entire family, and this wasn't his first time. It wasn't going to be his last. But the family was getting terrified. Even Brandy's health was deteriorating. She ended up having a stroke, and she decides that it's time for her to go. So she leaves to her family in Cleveland, and they sit her down with the police, and she tells them she is in fear for her life. And this is like the first time that her family, Brandy's family, has seen Brandy in years. They have no idea what's happening with her because Johnny keeps them very isolated. And that's a big part of abuse, is mostly keeping that isolation, keeping them in the world that you created, and which is why them kids, I mean, you punishment. Why they stay on punishment. You would get a lot of things like, y'all are worthless, so nobody wants y'all, man, nobody gonna care for y'all like me. And people yell that shit at you long enough, you start believing that shit. Mm-hmm. And your world just gets smaller and smaller because somebody says so. On July 7th of 2011, Brandy filed a protective order to keep Jonathan away from herself and her children. After this, the family moves in with Brandy's sister, Brisha's aunt, and the family stayed there for a while, and the police took additional statements from Brandy. In her statement, she wrote, "Since I've left, I've been in fear for my life, for me and my children. If he finds us, I am 100% sure he will kill me and the kids." Now, Brandy admits that she's completely terrified of her husband. She felt powerless to act against him out of fear of not only him, but of him being reincarcerated because he had been in trouble before. Now, she was under the impression he had a felony, but apparently he didn't. But I definitely remember saying that they used to own 3 guns and they were all in her name because he couldn't get a gun because he was a felon. Right, and then I remember we listened to that podcast that said that it turns out he was never a felon, but like, was he just using that as a way of power? Like, are you gonna call the police? You gonna send me back to jail? You gonna send me to prison? So then you gonna be have to raise these kids? Like, there's so many ways that he could just spiral one little lie to be the reason why you have to not tell anybody, right? Because that's what abusers do. Court records show
that the charges in the 2011 domestic violence case against Jonathan Meadows were dropped by Brandy, and Jonathan was never convicted. Brandy's sister said she woke up in the middle of the night and Brandy and the kids were gone. She pulled up to the house and was met by Jonathan Jr., who basically said, "Y'all should go. He's got a gun, and if you come in here, he's trying to kill you." He's like, "Look, all his kids are working to make sure she's protected. We're always making sure someone's in the house," because it was stated, Jonathan didn't beat the kids, although he might abuse them in other ways, verbally and, at least sexually. He never hit the kids. And so they were like, just if we're around, then maybe it won't be so bad.
Now, things didn't get better at all. If anything, they were constantly getting worse. And that's how abuse goes. Like, it'll be calm and you'll be happy for a week or a month or a couple months. Once it gets bad again, it's a cycle. But in January of 2015, when Brisha was 13 years old, she ran away from home. She was scared and she goes and calls her aunt for come save her for refuge. She calls her aunt, and while her aunt is coming to get her, she hides out in an abandoned house. Her aunt Gina finally gets her, and she's scared. Brisha is scared. It's late. Who knows what happened in the house that night? She was so upset and just emotionally charged that she ended up wetting herself. She's in these wet clothes. I don't know if it was a brain hack, but she's in these wet clothes. So her aunt takes her and puts her on some clean clothes, and she's like, "Okay, well, we're gonna go down to the police station." Remember, her aunt is a police officer. This is not her jurisdiction. It's not her county. She just can do what the law says to do, right? So she takes her to the police station. When she's on the way to the police station, Brisha is in the backseat, just screaming and crying. "I don't want to go home. I don't want to go home. I don't. Just like take me with you. Take me with you where you at. I don't want to go back home." The police start talking to her. Us talking to her. She's like, "Listen, I am scared. Okay, I'm scared for my life. My father is at home. He's abusive. He has guns. He says that he threatens my mom's life. He threatens my life. He threatens my siblings' life all the time." And her aunt is like, "You guys need to do something. Like, what do y'all do here?" And for domestic disputes like this, because that was her aunt's specialty. And so her aunt is trying to get the police to do something, and they're like, we weren't really trained in domestic issues at this station. You know what you should do? You should come by and teach a class." And she's like, "I am telling you what to do right now to save my sister. And if you guys don't do anything, the next time that you guys and I have a conversation, you will be calling me saying that my sister is dead because you guys don't know what you're doing." Like, I can just imagine how frustrating that is. I know, I know. I'm frustrated for this white woman. Like, I am.
And she's just doing her best to save her sister, and she knows the statistics, and she was like, "I will help you with the resources you need if you have to take this seriously," and just to find out what the cause and death is.
Exactly. And they go and they call the house, they talk to Brandy. When the police talk to Brandy, of course, Brandy, John gives her what Brandy would say, and they call up Brandy, they talk to her very briefly, like, and they were just like, yeah, she says that things are happening at the house. And Brandy's like, "Oh no, she's just upset. She's just upset because this boy wanted her to go out with this boy, and we told her no, and so she got sad and she ran away. You know, teenagers, that's how they are." Her aunt is like, "That's a lie. That's a lie. My sister is a victim of abuse, so she is going to lie because she has to protect her abuser. This is textbook stuff that is happening right now. I need you all to do what you're supposed to do." They look into the case and they're like, "Things are fine," and they send Brisha back home. Now, Brisha later talks to her mom, and she's just like, "Mommy, like, I hate this so much. Like, I hate this. Like, she really thought that if she ran away, like, if I ran away and I am showing you that I can leave, then maybe you, Mommy, you can also see that you can leave."
It's sad that she's that age trying to give her mom the strength.
Well, when you're in it deep like that, like, you don't, like, when you are thick in the abusive cycle, it's strength. What is that? Never heard of her. The strength that you would use for every other things is making sure that you tense up enough so that you don't feel the blows. Like, so that happened in January of 2015, and the rest of the year happened. No caseworker followed up with the family. Auntie didn't hear from her niece or her sister. Definitely not from her brother-in-law. And in May of 2016, Risha, who was a straight A student and who had this bright future ahead of her, that was in advanced classes was now starting to cut class, and her attitude just completely changed. Like, she didn't care for much of anything. Most of her time was in her room or doing whatever to just clear her mind. The exact dates are fuzzy, but around May either 26th or the 28th, Brandy gets up at 4 a.m. and she realizes that Brisha's not there. That Brisha is not away again. Brandy, first thing that she does is she calls Brisha's best friend Sequoia to see if she's over there. Brisha's not there. Again, Brisha decided that she was going to go to her aunt's house. She calls her aunt and she makes her way to her aunt. And her aunt's like, okay, last time I took you to the police station, and clearly nothing has happened because here we are again in the same situation. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just call Children's Services directly myself. So she calls the Trumbull County Children's Service, and finally, someone was sent to the house to interview the family. But did this worry Johnny? Absolutely not. Of course it didn't, because he knew that Brandy was aware of the consequences that she would face if she did not lie to the police and say that she had no idea that Brisha was cutting herself and that Brisha was